Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Football Exponential. And on this episode of the show, we're taking it, going it down a different road. We've managed to drag back our Spanish football experts back on the show. It's been hard to track down, and we've finally gotten down this weekend. So I welcome my friend Kingsley. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Franklin. It's indeed a pleasure to be back on the show again. Hello, guys. I've missed your interaction, but as always, I've continued to support the channel and go through, working behind the scenes with my
Yeah,
colleagues.
exactly. Yeah, we always appreciate your contributions behind the scenes. Even when you cannot grace us with your presence on camera, we always appreciate your contributions. But just before we get going, you have some allegations you have to answer for. So the streets, according to the streets, they are saying since Barcelona had a bad run of games, you went in hiding. Is that true or is that false?
Well, it depends on what street that they're talking about. If it's in the street of Catalonia, I believe I wasn't the only one in hiding. It's a very
Oh, okay.
terrible road to work on. But of course, I'm always here to continue to support the club. It was indeed a tough time for a lot of Barcelona fans, but
Okay.
allegations are fully understood.
Okay. And just the last allegation I have to really address right now is the streets are also saying that you're only coming back on the show right now, knowing that your two ops, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, drop points on the weekend, and you're looking forward to capitalizing come in the next your upcoming fixture. Is that true?
Yes and no. Yes, because I would always be there for the hate watch. I'm a
You're a
super.
super hater. You're a super hater. Yeah.
Well, you can say I'm not the bearer of the peace white flag. I enjoy the Blaugrana colors, so I would always be there for the hate watch. But that is not why I'm on the show today. I'm here because I've actually missed the interaction with the team. I've missed the interaction, and then there's a lot of juicy topic that we need to unpack. So it just kind of happened on the weekend where the both Madrid teams seem to have dropped points. So yeah, there's a little bit of
Okay.
coincidence, but the hate watch is also a part of it.
Okay. So I think now that we've got that bit of housekeeping out of the way. Just before at least of our listeners and our followers, if you like our content, like our discussions, follow the page, share, and subscribe. Comments, all that is always appreciated. Any questions, any topics you'd like us to cover, just put it down on the page in the comment section, and we'll get to it. So diving in straight, Barcelona, what's happening?
What has been happening is that Barcelona, just like the other Madrid teams, have
But
not really
just
been.
wait, because I think it's also it's important to add. Since the last time you've been on this show, I
Mhm.
believe it was after the first Clasico victory for Barcelona. There's been another Clasico in the Cup final. But since then, Barcelona has somehow given up the advantage in the league title. They are hoping to claw it back, but they've been very. Is it fair to say they've been inconsistent at best for the last few months in the league?
Well, yes and no. Inconsistent for a month. The month of December was horrible for Barcelona. Um, I don't remember it the same way in November. November was a bit decent, and January was with the turn of the new year, the attitude and everything improved. I think since January, the only game that they've dropped point is in Getafe, with the 1-1 draw. Ever since then, especially in the league, it's been more wins than anything else. But December was a very rocky patch for
Yeah,
Barcelona. I think in about 6 games or thereabout, there was just a single victory. And
yeah.
again, for a lot of people who get so excited when we mention a single victory, there's been a couple of draws, something that you can immediately relate with Atletico Madrid as well. And then a couple of losses in some of the games that were a bit tougher to swallow. But overall, it's been that month ish of football where Barcelona, there was a deep in concentration, there was hectic fixture, and then there was just not the ability to put their chances away. Especially if you think about the game against Atletico Madrid, it was painful to watch because it could have easily been another 4-1, 3-1, or thereabout.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but for them,
Uh,
and they lost that game as well. So that inconsistency, I do agree with in the month of December, but I think after that, it's just one bad patch, and I think the team is back in the direction that we expected to take.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. Because also during the time during your disappearance from the show, where I've always been talking to you outside the podcast, I've always like we've making the point that where it seems that since it seems it's like the pendulum keeps swinging both ways, back and forth between Barcelona and Madrid. I know Atletico Madrid are in the discussion as well, but it feels as if it's a as if it to go down to two teams, Real Madrid and then Barcelona. I feel, or I expect Atletico Madrid to not have enough over the course over the coming months. And with Barcelona, I feel whenever I watch Barcelona, I always feel they always play well. So they play good football. They create a lot of chances. Yeah, if you look at the statistics, the amount of shots they take, the XG they create, big chances they have, and I feel sometimes it's especially in those games. I think you had a period where you lost three games at home.
Yeah,
The Las
Las
Palmas,
Palmas. I
Atletico
think
Madrid, and
I think there's Alaves or something like
Alaves. Yeah.
that.
So in those games, I feel that Barcelona accumulated an XG of close to about 10 goals in those three games combined. But only managed to score 2 goals in those games. And this is very it's very confusing to judge because you have one of the if not the best striker of the last 10 years, Lewandowski, who's still at his ripe old age of 36.
Yeah.
He's still in good shape. He helps the team in a lot of ways. His pressing off the ball movements and all that. I think he's had a good season, but he's had some bad spells in within the season as well. And I feel this is the worry I probably have for Barcelona is what happens if Lewandowski gets to that point again where he's not scoring with the frequency you expect him to score.
Yeah.
And and can the other guys because look, some other guys, Yamal, Rafinha, they've all had fantastic seasons, but in those moments where it gets tough across on the way to on the way to the title race, do you have moments where things just don't go your way? Do you have enough players that can change the game in Barcelona's favor, you think?
Yeah, so and if we just piggyback a little bit to those moments where the patches was really rough for Barcelona, you see that coincidentally as well. Yeah, I mean, Yamal seemed to be absent in a lot of those games. This is not in any way an excuse for the team not pulling through and getting those victories, but when you have critical players that cannot be there, be it to score or to influence the game, it kind of affects the whole team dynamics. Now, Lewandowski also had like not a poor goal scoring form, but at that point too as well, it's very typical if your striker is not
Was
converting
patchy.
chance. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
quite patchy. You get goals here and there. It's not like there was a long drought, but you're not getting
yeah,
those influential moments come through. Something that I
yeah,
would say a lot of Barcelona fans can look out for and be excited about is that Ferran Torres has been coming good this season as well. With the limited
okay.
opportunities he's had, he'd come through and he had made them count, and not just in La Liga, but also in other competitions as well.
Yeah,
So it just depends on the moment right now for even Lewandowski, and I'm seeing in recent times Hans Flick seem to be putting that in more consideration lately, giving Lewandowski the actually deserving rest that a 36-year-old striker should be benefiting from
yeah,
if the squad players are being able to take chances, and of course you see when Ferran Torres comes in there, he tries to get goals in critical moments, important goals as well. And I think if all of that continue to play a factor, if those forward line can stay fit, that's the big word. If you can stay fit, if they can stay fit, then there's quite some level of optimism for the Catalan club, especially with respect to seeing going the journey through with the league. But what I would mention again about that is the fixture congestion. I feel like part of the problem Barcelona had in December, and I think it's not exclusive to Barcelona, but the results were more glaring against Barcelona, was that the fixture congestion it was terrible. I know we've had those conversations over and over again,
yeah. We've had those
but
discussions.
yeah, we've had it over and over again. But just to put it into perspective, was how things like that can affect the quality of football and the quality of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
performance you see week in week out. That is again can be the contribution. And as a Barcelona fan, what could be worrying is that I anticipate that would happen again in May, or say towards mid-April until May, depending on how well you go in other competitions. And then you see that fixture congestion again. and it doesn't help that, again, speaking from a Barcelona fan perspective, it doesn't help that towards those um, period in time, you would play the teams that you preferably want to play when you think that you're at your best, when you're well rested. For example, if my memory serves correct, um, Atletico Bilbao will be the last game of the La Liga campaign, and you'll be going to San Mamés. Like,
Yeah.
it's either you've wrapped up the league or the last day will be extremely nervy for you. And by the way, Bilbao was a club that was doing extremely well this season as well. And if you go even further down in investigating that fixture list, you'll see that I think the El Clasico that will be played in Bernabeu, no, that will be played in the Montjuic Stadium for Barcelona, it's going to happen, I think, 3 or 4 games to like about week 34 in the league and thereabout, and then you play Espanyol away from home. So the fixture congestion alongside the teams that you play in a season like this one will contribute towards where that league would end in the end of the day. Because I mean, it's a three horse race right now, the way I look at it, and
Yeah.
I think whether or not Atletico Madrid lifts it, there would always be a factor there.
That was good. Yeah, and just to piggyback off your point, also I feel during as the season has progressed, I feel Hansi Flick has found a way to incorporate every member of the squad into what they're trying to do. You see a guy like Eric Garcia, for example, who's stepped up, scored some big goals in the Champions League and in the league. So I think in the league as well, or in the
Yep,
cup
that's
games.
correct.
You see,
That's
if
correct.
you mentioned Ferran Torres, who's in good form. I think he scored a hat trick
Yeah,
last time
against Valencia, that's correct.
last year in the cup game against Valencia. So you see all those keeping everybody involved at the same time. And I think with Barca, I think Barca probably have scored. I believe they scored the most goals in European football this season,
That's
close to
correct as well.
is in the is in the hundreds. But I just I feel, but there's one. If there's any point of failure, I feel if I was to nitpick at Barcelona's overall operation, I feel the back. That's where at the in defense. That's where they have we've had these conversations, and I feel at some point where you if you play this high risk high reward system or the game mode where it's a very aggressive high line, and when the fixtures come in quick and fast, and you don't and when you have to rotate, you rotate from match to match to match because from here on out, it's every game is a big game.
Yep, that's
Every game
correct.
in the league, in the cup, in the Champions League is a big game. I just feel like because we've seen even it's what's his name, Arroyo, Ronald Arroyo since he's been
Hmm.
back in the first team, he's looked a bit. It's not looked solid as it's not on the same wavelength with Paul Kubasi in understanding when to push up, when to drop deep, how to cover the spaces behind, how to build up from the back, and even the goalkeeper as well, Chesney, who's to my surprise has been made the first choice goalkeeper for the rest of the season by the head coach. He's ball playing. I feel he's a better goalkeeper than the second guy, Ikapenya.
Yeah, and I keep yeah.
Not Ikapenya exactly, but I feel Chesney is not really. It doesn't help us build up from the back the way Pena does. And it doesn't. When you have a goalkeeper that's not as assured with the ball at his feet, it invites a lot of pressure. And when you're like we saw in the game of the infamous game, one of the games of the season so far, the Champions League game against Benfica, where he had a terrible game from start to finish. And
Yeah,
my fear is, can that be a weakness in Barcelona's system going forward? But we'll see. But I feel so far, if I was a betting man, and if I had to put my house on one of these two teams to win it, probably we go Barcelona because I feel they have fewer questions of the team where they have the number nine who's a classic number nine, the goal scorer. They have the young players, Pedri, Gavi, they're all in good form and they're all good. They've been very fit in recent months. And you have other guys like Barca, even Garcia. De Jong is coming back to relevance
yeah,
again in Barcelona, and I feel overall you look not comfortable. I feel you Barcelona win games quite comfortably at times. Where even because I was watching the last game on the weekend against last weekend against Sevilla, And when you got that rate, I was okay, yeah, this will get. I was Robin Mans, yeah, this last 20 will get very, it will get very exciting. But Barca man, they managed, they controlled it, and they got the fourth goal. They saw the game off, and I feel that's what Madrid will lack. And Madrid lack that. They feel sometimes, I feel Madrid sometimes they feel to impose that dominance on the opposition most times, and they don't. They always keep the opponents at. They give them enough opportunities to get that goal. I feel that's the problem. I've always had with Ancelotti's Real Madrid so far. But moving on to Real Madrid. I know from that side looking, how have you found Real Madrid's last few months? I know you've had a couple amazing victories against them recently. So how are you looking at Madrid as your as the threat?
To be very unbiased, which is very difficult to do when you talk about Real Madrid
Okay.
as a Barcelona fan. But to keep it very professional and stay unbiased, I think Real Madrid is looking better in
Yeah,
comparison to
yeah.
how the season started. I think they're starting to get their groove on. They've started to have their big players come through. But then again, when you look at some of the things that were the problems, they still have those niggling issues of how to fit all the stars in one galaxy. Like the struggling games where they have all the big players in the starting lineup and you expect them to perform magic. That hasn't really played out that way. But I think in fairness to Madrid, they've also had to deal with a lot of injuries this season. I mean, their back line is 80% of the time makeshift in the last couple of weeks,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
they
yeah.
also have um, from the news gathered in recent days, we also expect those players to be back. Rudiger,
Yeah,
um,
Rudy.
Vasquez, and a couple of them. But again, when your first team defenders are not available, not every club have the luxury to go pull out a Kubasi from an academy or go pull out a couple of other players from there. So it tells in
Yeah,
how you go forward, because then there is more pressure for the coach to bring in defenders that can kind of midfielders that kind of stabilizes the defense a little bit, and then you see traditional midfielders make shift into positions that they naturally wouldn't want to play. For example, Valverde being a makeshift
Valverde
right
right
back.
back.
Yeah,
Tchouameni centre back, and and
exactly.
and and again, it's not just because when you're in this situation, you find yourself pulling players from different positions to solve problems, and then at the same time you're then creating problems further up the pitch. Like
Exactly.
I always feel like Real Madrid's midfield is always better with Valverde in it. And when you take out Valverde from the midfield, the energy, the legs, the intensity he has put him at right back, which to his credit he's done fantastic as a
Hmm.
makeshift right back. But you miss his presence in midfield. And
Absolutely. And
and
then Chimeni always playing centre back, and then
exactly, and
Camavinga being in and out
Camavinga
of the
can't
medical field,
come.
and also not having the most expensive, most consistent season of his career. He's not having that at the moment. He's
Yeah.
had some good games and also had quite some questionable ones. But in all of these things, I'm also alluding to the fact that some of these problems have been showing even before the January transfer window, and I didn't see
Oh yeah,
Madrid going
absolutely.
out there and
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
capitalizing from that. I mean, he's not at his prime, but you had a Kyle Walker move or across to AC
Yeah.
Milan, and you know that you had a right back position to fill. That's a deal that you should have wrapped up easily and make shift cover. So those kind of things, again, I don't understand the finances and the overall strategic plan from Real Madrid on how to attack the next transfer window. But I feel like the league was for the taking. At the time, the momentum was with Real
Yeah,
Madrid.
yeah,
That would have been an opportunity to say, okay, with the number of injuries and some of them being long term as well, that was an opportunity to go out there and do some smart business and just kind of put your defense together. Like, for example, it's you and I can look at it and know that Mendy is not quality of left back or a player that should be wearing the Madrid shirt, but he's there
yeah.
and you've had to rely on him, and then you've had to bring Frank Garcia to come in there and do a good job, which I think is Frank Garcia is one of those players that you always get a six
Yeah,
from.
he's
Yeah,
a he's a he's been a good squad player.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree.
yeah.
But I think that's with to the point you made about Real Madrid's transfer business in the January window. I feel
Hmm.
this is where a lot of big clubs are right now. Like you see the Bayern Munich's, by Barcelona's, even in the Premier League. We saw, yeah, Man City spent the most in the Premier League, probably the most in Europe, in fact,
Yeah,
where they recruited the striker and two defenders for about 180 million combined. But I just feel most clubs, especially in the general window right now, they don't really look at it to make business because if honestly, it's a situation that depends on what the club needs. But I agree with you. Real Madrid could have at least done with a body like Kyle Walker, where you can rely on his experience, his game management in big games, but also you have another physical body to play in the games that you need. And
exactly.
as it's like you said, it's not as if Real Madrid have. I know they've been able to call upon Raul Asensio
Hmm.
in central defense, but they're not really they've never been really a team, or at least in recent times, that they've dug deep into the academy to find a little star that can come and fill in positions over there. But I feel they've so obviously with Madrid, it's always a situation where they just it's always damage control, damage control. How can we manage the situation from match to match? Okay, they played Man City the other day. Okay, they put out a makeshift defense. Probably a defense that's never played together as a team. um, Tchouaméni, Asensio, Valverde at right back, and Mendy. And I thought
Hmm.
considering the opposition they were playing against, I know Man City didn't have the best of game. They handled it quite well. And one player I feel has been their unsung hero so far this season has been Dani Ceballos.
Yeah,
And
Denis
this,
Ceballos has been more than just a squad player, and in my
yeah,
opinion, I think he should be actively knocking at the door for first team opportunity consistently, given the fact that other
well,
players who have been ahead of him have not really taken the opportunity. For example, Ceballos can have a worthy conversation with regards to starting ahead of Kamavinga, honestly, this season. Yeah.
no, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. No, yeah, I agree. But the issue with Camavinga is always it tends to be injured a lot. So you always have that situation where Ceballos will play games.
even when he has not been injured, he's been quite erratic. And the same thing can be said with
Yeah,
Chimene this season as well. They've
yeah,
committed a
yeah.
lot of needless fouls that have cost the team at opportunities where it shouldn't happen. And so there's some games where they've just been, because they're playing for Real Madrid, even gotten away with now having a red card. For example, even
Yeah.
the Clasico game, Kamavinga could have easily been out of that pitch at halftime. So there are those moments in the season where Real Madrid will look back at it if they don't have a successful season and say, you know what, we had an opportunity to stop the bleeding. And I'm not saying go out there and
Yeah.
splash cash. I'm saying go out there and do smart businesses that, you know, to as much of my dismay that I have to give credit to Florentino Perez and team, they've done smart business in the last couple of years, so they could have, continued in that momentum, get a loan deal out of a Kai Walker, get a loan deal out of a Ben Chilwell or any other person on that left
And
flank.
Chilwell.
I know it might sound, it might sound ridiculous, but there's a player in there. There's a player in there that might be dealing with confidence, that might be dealing with lack of trust. But it's a better, as far as I know, anybody is better than Mendy in left back for Real Madrid right
Ch
now, as far as I
oh,
know. So
okay,
so
okay. Yeah, yeah. I see your
yeah.
point. Yeah, I see
So
your
it
overall
probably
point.
might
Yeah.
not be, maybe it's a stretch for me to say Ben Chilwell, but I mean, I'm not in the scouting department. Anybody who is there can look and see that there's an opportunity to strike some loan deals pretty much,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just
Even yeah,
get the
that's so
extra body and push through the
that,
season. Because
yeah.
again, like I said, everybody has seemed to struggle, especially Barcelona, Atletico, who are the major competitors. So hold on to the league and widen the gap. So
Okay.
right now, if they had that and then push through the moment, we all know Madrid. Madrid can get down to business in February, in March, and then they just have that streak and see through to the end of the season. But it's not looking that way this year.
Okay. And I know we'll get to the main guys of focus. You mentioned the attack of how imbalances looked for most
Yeah.
parts this season. We'll get to that in a bit. But as we were talking, I just had a question popped up in my head. Do you feel that at different points in this season, Madrid, Barcelona, the pressure of being the team leading the pack has gotten to them? Because
Absolutely.
if you because I feel
Absolutely.
like whenever a team, whenever they've established a sizable point advantage, they just somehow hit a brick wall. They get bad form. And both teams, we've seen with both teams, and they just lose it and they just start getting, if they start finding it hard to maintain that momentum. Do you feel the
Yeah,
pressure has gotten?
absolutely. I do agree with you. And I don't know how much of a coincidence that might be because whoever seems to be on the top of the table seem to play their games first. That's been a pattern, right? So
Is it?
I don't know if I don't know if it's a coincidence.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's and
yeah,
we can fact check that as well. So and for
okay.
me, that adds a little more pressure to the squad as a whole, because it's a different thing, right? When I know that my contenders have played and I know the outcome of their results, I have that understanding as how to. I mean, every game is a big game, you prioritize it. But again, just look at last week, for example. If Barcelona had played before Sevilla, if Barcelona had played Sevilla before the Madrid derby, it could
Mm.
have added a different spice. But
Yeah, yeah,
those kind of moments. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Barcelona do the job against Rayo Vallecano, and then going forward, you start seeing Barcelona play before the Madrid clubs. I don't know if it's
okay.
I don't know
Yeah,
if there's something that has to do, but to your point, that adds some pressure to the players, obviously, right? That intensifies the outcome of each game, and then again, in other seasons, that will play your advantage. But in a season like the one that you're having right now, where you can't drop your guard, it's so much pressure to the already
yeah.
piled up pressure to excel in these clubs.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I echo everything you just said, and we cannot talk about Real Madrid without talking about a couple Galacticos, well, a few Galacticos, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
Vinicius, Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, and Rodrigo has that from a with a hitter's perspective. How do you see that? Have you seen that attack or that front line? Have you seen the threats they've posed to your path to success this season? Because I
Yeah,
feel because I personally when as the season has progressed, I've been impressed with Mbappe's development as the guy leading the front the attack. And I feel it's always important to always important to be careful of the language you use when you describe this player. So if you're expecting Mbappe to play like a traditional number nine, like the Lewandowski's, Benzema's, if you judge him based on those metrics, he will fall short all the time. But if you judge him as a player who's leading the attack with responsibility, his runs, playing with intensity, constantly making runs for his teammates to find him, just leading the attack as an attacking player, leading the attack. I feel he's improved quickly. You can see the overall evolution in him as a player. Where even the goal he scored this weekend. That's a proper that's a proper
that's a
striker's
number
goal.
nine. That's a number nine's goal.
Exactly.
I,
You
I
see
agree.
you see you
He,
see
he
you
can
see
smell the
the
danger.
movement across the defender gets to cross first. You see that. And I've been very critical of Mbappe since I went to Real Madrid at the early part. But now I feel he's getting to that point where he's looking comfortable. The relationship is getting there with not really with Vinicius yet, but I feel the relationship is there with Rodrigo, with Jude. You see they're on the same wavelength. And if anything, in recent weeks, I feel the one player that has looked a bit. I don't know if it's confidence. I don't know if it's form. I don't know if it's Vinicius. Vinicius has
Mm-hmm.
not looked compatible with the rest of the team. Especially, he's looked on the outside looking, but even at the same time saying this, like you saw the game against Real Madrid, against Man City, the Champions League, he didn't really have the best of games in the first half. He got off shots at goal, but he didn't really get the finish right, or his touches were not the best. But he has that tenacity about him where he's always in the game from minute one to the 90th minute. And you saw how he the press, how quickly intercepted a bad pass, made the press and creates the match winning goal for Jude Bellingham. But have you seen Mbappe so far?
Well, to be honest, Mbappe is turning out to be the player that Madrid did everything possible to get.
Yeah,
I'll be surprised that there's any genuine football supporter that thinks Mbappe to Madrid would not at some point kick in. right? It was a slow start, and
Yeah,
credit to his teammates Vinicius, especially, and even Jude. They supported him on and off the
yeah,
pitch, and you can tell even in the penalties that were given to him to kind of build that confidence and get
yeah.
that run
That's
going.
that's that's a good point.
Uh, yeah, and then over time, with strikers, maybe even if you don't want to categorize him as a striker, with goal scorers, the more goals you score, the more your confidence starts to build.
That's
And
that's
and
true.
and I've said this thing about Mbappe ever since I watched him. Mbappe is never going to be he's never going to be a Dembele. He's never going to be that guy that you would be thrilled by his dribbles, his flicks, and all of those kind of things. Mbappe is
Neymar,
pure.
Neymar.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Neymar, that kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah. So Mbappe is a clinical player. Mbappe is an efficient player, and these are some of the things that people have come to love about him.
yeah.
Mbappe can have 6 chances in the game and convert 3 or 4. That is what you've come to know about Mbappe. So I felt like he was losing his personality a little bit, maybe as a result of the pressure of moving to Madrid, and he wanted to
That's
be
true.
that. Yeah, he wanted to be that guy that is, doing a 360, doing a flick. And, you can do all of those things every now and then when the opportunity presents, but you don't start to form a whole new style of your game around that. And I
Yeah,
think proper credit goes to Ancelotti for this as well, because I feel like that father figure came through. The egoistic part of things where we think would create a bottleneck for Madrid. It seemed like all of those stars have started to find ways to shine and shine independently and collectively as well. So now you see Jude celebrating an assist to Mbappe as though it were a goal in itself, knowing that just the season ago, everybody was expecting him to be the one, at the end of those goals, right?
yeah,
But as much of the advantage that this brings to the Madrid team, it's also brought some disadvantage. Like, for example, yesterday's game against Osasuna, at the extra time when Mbappe managed to get past the defender, and he was in every right as a forward, you can try to hit that shot because especially a forward with a rich vein of form.
yeah,
But um, if you're not thinking about the billboard, if you're not thinking about the posters, there was a square pass to Vinicius there actually. If you're watching it again,
yeah,
there
yeah,
was a square pass,
yeah,
and
yeah,
if
boy.
and
Yeah,
again, like it's a situation of where it's up to you how you decide to see it. Like I personally, as if I were a forward of Mbappe's caliber, and I decide to take a shot at, at scoring that moment, if it goes in, fantastic. Mbappe wins the game. You get the postals and all of that. But if it doesn't go in, surprisingly, I've not heard too much buzz around that. But then you could have just been a cutback to Vinicius, and Vinicius is probably just having a player or two to attend to, and it's a smash into the post and into the goal, and that is another 3 points in the bag. So there's that tiny bit of it where I feel individual ego still comes through. I think it also happened with Jude as well, even in the game against Man City. Um, there was a chance where he could have just squared the ball to Rodrigo, and that would have been a goal. But he tried to have a shot at it as well. Again, these things happen, right?
yeah,
Even the game against Espanyol, Jude at some point, you could literally see the burden on his shoulders. He wanted to score. He wanted to be the guy that makes that difference, and it just didn't happen. Not because he
yeah,
played bad. So
yeah.
there's that part to be figured out. There's that part where the whole team need to find a way to strike that balance of being the main guy and in comparison as being the guy who takes responsibility as well. And Vinicius, on the other side of things, have not, in my opinion, had um, a fantastic season. But this is how Vinicius' career has been for most part of it. If people have followed it, very closely. Vinicius is the guy that comes alive in February. Go and check. Right,
Okay.
he comes alive at the business end of the season, and then he then has really influential games like that, and then you can excuse the slower starts. I think it's happened 2 3 seasons almost consecutively. So we can fact check that as well. But overall, one thing I enjoy about Vinicius, besides the fact that it's exciting as a footballer to watch, he's always going to keep having a go at it. There are
Yeah,
players
yeah.
where things don't go your way, you start to let your shoulder down and all those kind of things. He's
There's
refused
always
to do.
and I feel another with Vinicius, another element of his game that's very underrated is how much of an athlete he is.
Yeah, he's
You see he's always on the move. He's always So, and I know sometimes this like he has bad moments. He has moments where it seems like the pressure of the whole situation is on his shoulders. And I feel like the point where you mentioned about players playing with ego and chasing the spotlight. I feel that's more down to I'll say that's pressure per se. Where and all these guys, Mbappe, Vinicius, Jude Bellingham, they all play they all play with a certain amount of pressure on their backs at all the time whenever they put that one shirt on. And it's always with that pressure, it comes with the expectation that you have to deliver. Because after all, you're Mbappe, after all, you're Jude Bellingham, after all, you're Vinicius. And that's where I feel if they can get that balance right, if they can all understand how this is not it's not a job one for one man to do. It's not a job for Mbappe just to do. It's a job that we all can do collectively. And if we can all it's like if they can all sing from the same hymn sheets, I feel that chemistry will only develop to be better and to only suit the team long term as well. But again, but I just feel with Real Madrid that like I feel their biggest issue has not really been in. I know they've had a lot of issues in defense, but I feel the part of where I get worried the most is in midfield
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
their ability to control games. Like Barcelona have it. Barcelona have it. They have it on lock. Barcelona, where the games where they win, lose or draw, you see they're always they have control of those games. Well, except for probably the Benfica game and some games there. But Barcelona, they always seem to have control of their games, where they have their foot on the neck of the position. They create chances and they sustain the attacks. They sustain the pressure. They sustain attacks. And with Real Madrid, I feel it's quite the opposite, where they don't really. It's more. It's more a basketball game when you play Real Madrid, where okay, you attack, I attack. It's a matter of who finishes better. And most times that's why you always see Courtois. Courtois is always having. He always seems to be having the game
Man
of
of the
his.
match moments.
He always seems to be having the game of his life whenever he plays for Real Madrid. But I feel if they can get that midfield configuration sorted, and I've been like I said, Ceballos. I've been impressed with Ceballos. If Camavinga can stay fit enough for this for going into this Champions League phase and the run into the title, you get Valverde, get Ceballos, get those three, get the right configuration there. I feel they can still for a team that has a lot of questions about it or a lot of questions around. I feel they can still potentially have a really successful season. I won't be surprised if again it's Real Madrid, I won't be surprised if Real Madrid make it all the way to the Champions League semi-final. Playing playing a very unique brand of football that's not really dominant, just basically surviving game after game. And
Yeah,
when you have the firepower they have, you can always count on getting to those
yeah.
getting to those places. Well, we'll see, we'll see.
One thing I'd like to add to the Real Madrid's area for improvement would be the utilization of the squad players a bit more. Like, for example, Modric is playing a lot of games. I
Yeah,
mean, for that age and for the demands of wearing the Madrid number 10 shirt, it's a pressure that is unique to only players like Modric and Co. Right? But then again, you've got players that are young in the ranks that I feel like you can as well use for games that don't require all of that, mastery and experience. Take for example, some games like even though it didn't go in their favor, an Espanyol in the league, etc., etc. Games like that in the Bernabeu, you can play another Aguilera, you can give him a fair chance. Yeah,
well, I'll give. I think I'll give a bit of pushback to because I feel in recent weeks or the last couple of months he's found a way to found a way to not necessarily Goulet per se, but he's found a way to integrate Ceballos, the left back Gutierrez, even as Asensio as well, and Brian Diaz as well. He's always found a way to integrate them into the not
Yeah,
even
but that's what
not
I'm saying.
this.
You're bringing them 75 minutes into the game. You're bringing them 80 minutes into the game. Those legs are gone. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Like the Modric, even as young and as athletic as Valverde is, like the preservation, right? And this is not even a
Mhm.
problem exclusive to Madrid. It's been a problem that even as a Barcelona fan, sometimes I'm looking at the game, I'm like, why is Yamal on the team sheet? Sit down. Do you
Yeah,
understand?
but
So,
I know. Yeah,
football in general, we go on and we say there's a lot of fixtures, which there would be, which is not changing, but also there could be some improvement in teams management.
yeah, I agree with
Give
that. I
rest to
agree with that.
players that deserve to have those rest, and
Yeah,
then play them in more crucial moments of your season.
yeah, that's true. That's true. And yeah, I think we move away from Madrid right now and touch on the 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 other team in the title race, in Real Madrid's neighbors in town, Atletico Madrid.
Oh, I love this topic
Okay, okay,
because
so okay,
I, I,
okay,
I
okay.
feel I feel like again people are not giving enough credit to Atletico Madrid. I personally would take this as an opportunity to shout out to Simeone and shout out to their transfer business. This season has been awesome. The
Yeah,
rewards are
yeah,
there for everybody to see. You know what? There is something about Julian Alvarez that people seem to have ignored. Julian Alvarez has won the league as many times as he has competed for them, right? I'm hoping that
okay,
that
yeah,
I'm hoping that there's a break in that jinx or whatever that tradition is because they really have to be won. I can't at this point. I don't even know if I want Real Madrid to win it over Atletico. I just for personal reasons, I don't want that to happen because I know what Simeone could look like. Simeone is a guy that builds off momentum. He has one good season, then you probably would be he'll become another force to reckon with for a couple of other seasons, right? He's not
yeah,
as decorated as he should be, but he has had time in his careers where Atletico was a proper problem to any club. That they've been
yeah.
in two
They've,
Champions League
they've,
finals in about 3 seasons or something like that. They've had this, and it's pretty much from building momentum. And you and I had a conversation off record when I said the more Atletico stays away from defeat, the harder it comes to defeat them. And that was why I was
yeah,
absolutely crushed that Barcelona didn't crush them in that game because they built that momentum. And it's that same momentum they took into the Real Madrid game. It's the same momentum yesterday for Salah to come in and still make a difference with just 10, 15 minutes to go. And they will continue to be that kind of team until somebody actually, puts a proper dagger into the heart of Atletico Madrid. But the business has been good. Simeone assessed his team. He let go of players who he ought to let go of, right? As much as we're being excited about the players that have come in, there was that flush that happened in the transfer window where he actually looked at certain players and like, okay, off you go. And then also from a Barcelona point of view, I would be absolutely surprised if Atletico Madrid did not get the contract over the line for Clement Lenglet because he has been actually brilliant for them. Right, he's a
yeah,
player that
yeah,
Barcelona fans don't want back for a couple of reasons, including wage bill, etc. And I'm so happy to see him doing well in Atletico Madrid. So hopefully, I hope if you can hear this, whoever's in the transfer business, give Longley the contract that he desires and keep him in Atletico Madrid because he's working out very perfectly for them. But
yeah.
moving on from that, um, Julian Alvarez has been amazing. Not just only on the goals, the runs, the creativity he brings to the team, the telepathic relationships he has with Antoine Griezmann. Solid also accepting his new roles. Andrew Correa coming in and doing what he has to
Yeah.
do. People easily get straight into thinking that Atletico Madrid don't have attack power or they're
No,
based
no,
off.
no. I feel I believe on balance across a lot of teams in Europe, right? Across the top teams in Europe, I feel they are the most balanced when it comes to their squad depth. So
Exactly.
they have the right amount of attackers you need, the right amount of midfielders you need with different profiles as well.
Yes.
The right wing backs if you need that as well, full backs, wingers as well. So I've been very impressed with Atletico Madrid this season. And I feel back when we did I think our preview of La Liga this season, I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
really convinced about Atletico Madrid's
Mm-hmm.
title or as title challengers. But what I've been
Mm-hmm.
impressed the most about is Simeone. And I believe he's gone back to after a couple years in the wilderness tactically, where he tried out different formations with different players. He went to three at the back system, five across midfield and two strikers. But I feel this season he's gone back to what he knows.
Yep.
I think he's one of the only top coaches in top European football that plays 4-4-2. He
Yep.
has this rigid system that's very well. very well trained into the ideology of the club and his overall philosophy. Two strikers, Griezmann and Alvarez as a partnership. I can't think of any other partnerships in the European football that's probably better than that. Either with the amount of the volume of goal scoring, chance creation as well, and even clutch moments. And but I feel one player that I've been or a couple of players that I've been really impressed with is Simeone, his son.
Yeah,
Because
he's
it's not
amazing. It's amazing.
it's not always where you see because I think we've seen it a few times in the past where there's been that father and son relationship, but they don't the players per se don't really have that same um they don't they're not really they always seem to be outside the first team level like with Porto the Conceição father and son. I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember anyone, but with Julian Simeone, he's one of the standout players in recent months. He's one of the driving forces in their that was the 14 game winning run.
Yeah, yeah,
They had
yeah,
club record 14 game winning run.
yeah,
I think he was very instrumental in that as well. And another
yeah.
player I've been impressed by is the Spanish midfielder Pablo Barrios.
Oh
It
yeah, he
seems
had an horrendous game yesterday. Late.
unfortunate, but I think over the course of the season they finally found a player that's a bridge between Koke and Sal Nunes.
Yeah,
Sal Nunes, yeah. A player
yeah,
that's very good on the ball, has a lot of energy, his tackling, his intensity is amazing. He's a player that has almost displaced Gallagher in a way where
yeah,
at start of the season we all looked at okay, Gallagher was gonna go there, he'll bring energy into midfield. But somehow his performances have shifted Gallagher to the fringes of the first 11 in this moment. So,
yeah,
but again, that's having a player like Gallagher to call off the bench to see out games or to as a rotation piece. That's a brilliant option. But with Simeone, I always believe with Simeone, they rely on this. They have this unity whenever they're in this in this storm or in this moment where everybody's they are all they're driving to the same goal. There's no in-house
mm-hmm.
discussions about where this player should play. This, like you said, you talked about Real Madrid with the egos in the attack lineup. They don't really have those situations. There where
No,
everybody knows their defined role in the team, and they all know they're all working for the team at the end of the day. And when they're in this moment and they play as they have because they always I feel they rely heavy on this on people don't see them coming. Like this
yeah,
series, for example, you don't see them coming. And when people have all of when focus is on the two big clubs, they always find a way to sneak in and into that conversation. But with them, it's not as always can they keep it till the end of the season? And I feel if they can, they could. They look very good.
yeah.
They
They
have
look good. They look good, and I see them progressing not just in the league as well. I think they're going to
the
do
Champions League, yeah,
really good in Champions League because again in Champions League too, just like the league, they didn't start with the most brilliant forms and results, but they found a way to claw themselves back
yeah,
and then have an automatic qualification as well, something that even the mighty Madrid couldn't attain or even Man City. So that just tells you a testament to Simeone going back to his roots and saying,
yeah,
you know what, this is what needs to happen. And not only that, people are very quick to looking at the goals that are now coming from the supposed forward players. But you have to look at the stability at the back. Oblak has been having an amazing season. He's been
yeah.
back to one
He's
of
back
those
to
his fantastic, brilliant forms, right?
he's back to his
If
best
you if you
again.
check that, if you put that in comparison to a couple of seasons ago, like Oblak is making game-defining saves, right? And it's also adding something new to his team, to his array of options, which is he now launches attack from behind, like he's making those long throws, he's making those
Yeah,
spread
yeah,
out pass instead of the normal hoof,
yeah,
that you would imagine from Atletico Madrid. So there is that, and also um, the Paul's presence and relevance to that team is growing by the minute every
yeah.
other day. He's becoming the embodiment of
Simeone,
Atletico Madrid in itself, in Simeone, right? He's
yeah,
becoming what we expect the cool kid to have been. He's becoming what we expect.
Oh,
for
Koke, no, 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 no,
Koke
no,
is
no, no,
right.
no.
Koke in his right. Koke
Koke,
in his right is always going to be a fantastic player. He's always
boys,
going to be a captain. He's always going to be a leader. But I'm talking about a vocal guy in DePaul. DePaul is like there's a bad tackle on Alvarez. DePaul is there asking questions.
he's
There was
he's an enforcer.
He's an enforcer exactly.
Yeah,
That's what I'm trying
yeah.
to say. He's an
He's
enforcer,
he's a,
and
he's I think he's developed that role from his time with the national team when he was Messi's personal bodyguard on and off the pitch.
well, if that is what it takes to success, I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
yeah.
Again. I think that's a brilliant point you make about Rodrigo De Paul because he's a player that doesn't really get the limelight. It just very few
Yeah.
people talk about it. But if you think about the teams he's been involved in recent times, even to the national team, where guys like Enzo Fernandez, Alvarez, Messi, of course, we're all getting
Mhm.
all of our attention. But I feel his that player is always in there that makes other players play well.
Yes, he's that
He's,
glue. He's that glue.
exactly. He's that guy.
He plays the ball at the right moment. He knows the perfect time to distribute it, and his passing range too is impressive. Like you would imagine that an
It's
enforcer
quality.
wouldn't have that,
And
array of options.
ball
Yeah,
striking as well is quite good.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Good.
That's yeah,
That's good.
yeah,
So that's
yeah,
another part that I feel like
yeah.
it's all good news on Atletico's camp. If I'm being very honest, even
Yeah.
games where they've not taken off 3 points, you wouldn't say that you wouldn't say that you know um, that they've been awful, right? But the only thing
Okay.
is this, right? Maybe it's a contributing factor. I'm not too sure because of how La Liga point-based system works. But I feel Atletico have the firepower to score more goals than they're currently scoring. They're scoring enough goals
That's
to
Simeone.
get by,
That's
but I
Simeone.
think they have that more because there was a time in the season where they were getting 4 goals in the game, they were getting five
Yeah.
goals in the game, and they have the caliber of forward to do that.
Yeah.
But for some reasons, it's not been too frequent. It's not been that consistent, regardless of the opposition. I think it's something that might affect them
That's true. That's true.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It might become a decider.
Yeah. But again, I also feel it's because this is like they always say like having a title race is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah,
And with the mechanics of sprinting, or sorry, of marathons, it's experience also comes into play at some point where you have a manager like, well, so Ancelotti, Flick, and Simeone. I can quite confidently say in league format, Simeone is probably the more experienced. It's more experienced in that field where he knows how to balance the European commitments, the league games as well, and at the same time manage the squad where you get the right result while you're rotating as well. But I feel Champions League will play a big factor for 3 teams for the rest of the
yeah,
season.
yeah.
And because Real Madrid still have this game over their head against Man City. If they make it to the next round, then you have the 3 teams in the title race all in the Champions League. And with the amount of intensity you need these days, I think that will be a big deciding factor going forward. How 3 of them cope in the Champions League and how they bring that form back to the league games and how they manage in between those as well. That'll be a big factor going forward.
Yeah, no, it's true. And most times when people think about other competitions and how it affects the league, we almost tend to look at it from a point of one too many features. But again, just going by a sample size of what happened in La Liga, especially for Barcelona, the Champions League was a deserving break for them. Like it's an opportunity for them to go out in a different competition, have a different motivation, use that as a springboard to get back your form, and then hopefully try to translate that into the league as well. I also think that is something that you know we should be considering when we speak about the impact of other competitions to where the La Liga title is going to end up this season. Because again, like like Atletico and Real Madrid, like I alluded to earlier, Atletico and Barcelona, they'll be playing each other, I think, 3 times in the next
Yeah,
month.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, shy over a month, and and they're all in like those games are in two different competitions. There's that in the Copa del Rey, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico, and then Real Madrid plays Real Sociedad. But also, there's a potential Real Madrid, Atletico clash in the Champions League if both teams do well. There is a potential for that to happen, and
Yeah.
that in itself, with all the buzz that it brings, also it can be a confidence spring point or confidence denominator for whichever club that comes out with the best or the worst results out of those kind of clashes. So my point exactly is that going longer in the Champions League gives you an opportunity, of course, to do well, but also it gives you that downside of it. Okay, there's one too many games, or there's a lot of games to compete for. But also, it could be an opportunity for you to take a fresh break into another competition, assuming you're
Yeah.
not doing too well in the league.
Yeah. And yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that is also going to be a huge deciding factor. But I think in everything, it's just screaming excitement. Maybe more excitement for people on the neutral side of things with nothing at stake. But for someone like me, it's there's some nail chewing moments in how the league has gone so far. It's been up and down. But as the day progresses, you look like this league is it might end in Qatar.
Okay. Okay. That's good stuff. Do you have any notes of anything we need to touch on before we go?
Yeah, I kind of feel like we sprinkled on it a little bit. We talked about the transfer business for each club, but we didn't mention Barcelona. I don't think Barcelona has gotten the value for money for Dani Olmo in terms of the transfer business. But again, it's nobody's fault in the sense
Oh,
that
yeah,
it's
but
only
it's
Barcelona's fault because whenever
exactly.
the guy
So
has been on, yeah, whenever the guy has been on the pitch, he has been the guy that we expect him to be a brilliant footballer.
yeah, exactly.
But you went into the market and you purchased him knowing his injury record, and he has not disappointed. I mean, of all the players that Hansi Flick has had to deal with this year, I still think he has the most injury concerns. With
Uh,
players like Pedri and Gavi improving over time. Yeah, this year Daniel Mo has been, because the injuries might have not been long, and he's going to be out for 2 months. But like he plays 4 games, he's in he's on the bench for injury for another 2 games. He comes back, he plays a couple more, and it's been like that for most part of the season. And I'm afraid if things continue like that, I'm afraid for Daniel, but there are too many options in that Barcelona, and you might just lose your starting spot. There's Fermin
yeah,
Lopez banging at that door, and whenever he has his opportunity, he's taking them. There is Gavi, who's just coming back from injury and also having a fantastic season in terms of recuperating and getting back into first team football. There is Pedri, if push comes to shove, they needs to play that. But one thing I feel like Hansi Flick hasn't done enough, if I'm being critical, is that Paulo Torre is an amazing footballer. We should see more of him from an unbiased point of view. I know that that goes a long way to talk about the testament of the quality of midfielders in Barcelona right now. But Paulo
and
Torre
it's
but Pablo Torre, whenever he's been given an opportunity, he's a player that's fighting for a chance to wear that shirt, and you can see that he's also very technically gifted. I think in that Barcelona squad, he's the one with the best set piece outcome. He knows how to swing the ball in and out to the box. He's had maybe not decisive goals, but he has had frequent goals contribution in comparison to the game time. And I think a player like that should be getting more minutes. But we're gradually gravitating towards the business end of the season. So if you're not getting those minutes this time of the season or early in the season, then when do you get them? Like you don't, except there's going to be an injury crisis. You don't expect Pablo Torre to be starting a semi-final in the Copa del Rey or starting a
exactly.
knockout Champions League game. So it's I feel like that is something that Hansi Flick could do more. And also, my friend Ansu Fati, he's everything. He's been everything for Barcelona at one point in his career, and right now he feels like it's nothing. Like look at, for example, look at the expression in your face when I called his name. It's pretty much a guy that you've forgotten already,
Mm.
and I think it's not fair. He's wearing a very heavy shirt. He's wearing a number 10 shirt. He's been back from injury for over a month. I know there've been that contractual conflict that has happened between him and the club, with them trying to get him out in January to only bring a reinforcement. That I thankfully I'm happy that didn't happen, because I didn't really want Rashford in the club. Nothing against Rashford, but I don't feel like he's going to come and add in more value for that amount of wages that he would attract.
I'm a personal
Um,
there.
yeah, because I'm looking at it like, if Rashford was coming in for maybe 2 million per season, okay, but coming in and you commanding that amount of revenue, and then there are players who are on the squad contributing twice or three times more than what you would ever be able to contribute, and they're not getting that. You're just going to come and bring in some imbalance to the wage structure, and that will be quite chaotic. And then when you check that if you check that in exchange to the output that you have on the pitch, I'm not very confident that bringing in Rashford in is going to get 10 goals before the end of the season. I don't see that happening. And would you
Yeah,
be parting with that
yeah.
amount of money? So for that alone, I'm happy that Ansu Fati, correctly or not, decided to stay back and fight for his opportunities. But you need to be on the pitch to fight for your opportunities, and Hansi Flick is not giving him any of those.
No,
You know.
but you say it's regarding Asafat, you say you're happy he stayed back and he's fighting. Like, okay, say fighting means you're getting an opportunity to showcase your talent. Well, I think the player has been left out of the Barca squad for a couple matches now. He's not been involved.
Yeah,
Even down to the cup game against Valencia, he wasn't
yeah.
part of the team. So I feel from what I've read, there's been a bit of friction between the club and him, where they've encouraged him to go out there and play football somewhere else, just to find his form, find his momentum again, get more games under his belt, because this is the player that's missed a lot of football in the last 2, 3 years. And in a way, I do agree with that feeling, because at the end of the day, players need to play football, especially younger players where they've been hampered by a lot of injuries. Where it doesn't quite necessarily really matter where you go get that football, but as long as you're getting consistent amount of games, you build your confidence again, you build your body back up again, because he's a player that's had some significant surgical procedures done. So you need to develop and just test yourself again. And I feel like, because he was on loan last season in the Premier League to Brighton, he had, whenever he was on the pitch, he always looked good. Like, he scored a good amount of goals last season.
Mhm.
I just feel it's just a waste of time just staying in the club, or staying at a club where they've made it clear you're not necessarily in their plans in the short term or even in the long term.
Yeah. Whilst
And
most of everything that you said is correct, but I feel like there's more administrative innuendos around that. I feel
yeah,
like
oh yeah,
Fati is sitting on a
it's
pretty
yeah,
high wage. He's
with
sitting on a pretty high
Barca's.
wage with Barca's money issues, with other clubs' willingness to come in and take on that wage, given the output of the player in recent years, and the injury concerns. It's just very tricky to find the kind of market and the kind of club that Ansu Fati should be going to. Like for me, if I hear a rumor spark of Ansu Fati to Borussia Dortmund, I'll be excited for him to go and give a try
No,
on to clubs like that. If you ask me,
no,
if you mentioned
yeah,
about Ansu Fati to even an Ajax, I would say okay, fantastic. Yeah, these are opportunities for young players. Sometimes we talk about him giving his early relevance to the sport. We think is pretty much a young guy. He's
yeah,
probably in his
it's still
22 or
23.
23 or something like
Yeah,
that.
thereabouts.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so he still has a lot of football to play. But if you're not presenting an opportunity where you can clearly see that I'm going there for a strategic growth opportunity, if I were him, I'll hang around in a club that has the potential to win titles this year, right? Get those titles, also get my wage coming through, right? And then if at the end of the thing, then I can have more array of options in the summer and pick my next destination if the club still don't want to move forward with me, as opposed to making a hurry out of the pack move in January and off you go. So, but if Avia has to play, and I've seen this happen over and over again, and like, for example, there was that same kind of chaos or lack of smooth relationship between Barcelona board and Usman Dembele once upon a time in his career. And
Yeah.
then Xavi came through, have an arm around his shoulders, hugged him, and brought him back into some of the things that Luis Enrique is profiting from right now. and eventually the player made a decision to go where he ought to go, or go when he felt it was right for him
Yeah.
to go. But the reality is that Xavi still went ahead and made the best use of Usman while he was in the squad. And now, when I think about Hansi Flick and Ansu Fati, I still feel like there's a player in there, and especially when you have a shortage of natural left wingers. Even though I don't really classify Ansu Fati to be one of those, he's not a player that I confidently would bank onto being beat his man time over time or have that explosion of pace. But he can do the job in the left wing, and that can come in handy when you want to rest vital players like Rafinha and Co.
No, so as you were talking, I just decided to just look at his the amount of games he's played in the last 3 seasons. So while on loan at Brighton last season, he started 3 games at
Mm-hmm.
three starts. Last obviously didn't play for Barcelona last season, and this season he's only had one start the entirety of this season.
Yeah, but is
So
it? Yeah, that's
so
exactly what I'm saying.
no,
Like
so,
even this year, he still had to deal with injuries too in
yeah,
Barcelona.
and I know, but the assumption is he's currently fit and able to play football. But the issue, and this is where my argument is just going. I'm going to aim my argument that you can talk about your financial package, the trophies and all that, but at the end of the day, if you're a 22-year-old and you've only started in the last 4 seasons, you've only started 15 games. That is the problem. 4 seasons, 15 starts. That's an issue. You have to just get out there and just, in a way, almost showcase your talent again. Because right now, very few teams will be skeptical about taking you on their wage bill, even if it's a loan or whatnot, because they don't know to what degree you are right now. Where can we trust on your fitness? Are you still the player that we also 3 years? Because let's not forget when he emerged as one of Barcelona's key players. This several years ago now. Football has moved on since then.
Yeah,
Barcelona as a club have moved on since then. Where now Yamal is the guy, Rafinha is the Lewandowski, even Ferran Torres, those guys are there all making it happen. And I just feel right now the decision to stay at Barcelona, if it was the decision to stay at Barcelona for the next 6 months, I just feel it's a waste. Honestly, it's a player that's good enough. You can even if sometimes you just have to forget. You have to forget about the long term financials. Just say, okay, you know what? Find a deal between you and the club. If it's your wage structure, like okay, go out there, just go out there, play games. Because if you go out there, show how good you are, you can always you get different offers when it comes to the summer window. But even you as a footballer, it's also important to seize the initiative and seize your because again, at the end of the day, football career is very short. There's a
yeah,
22-year-old, there's a 22-year-old just on the sideline right now. So I feel he, well, I hope I hope he finds space in Barcelona's short-term plan, gets a couple of games here and there, just to even enjoy the sport again. Because
yeah. If I were Deco, Ansu Fati's career plan would be part of my top priority um the summer transfer window, because I need to be looking for clubs that I can put in proper proposal to, and
yeah,
see if he can get minutes. For example, we're going to be if Girona were going to participate in the Champions League next season, right?
yeah,
Girona would have been an ideal destination for
yeah,
him,
exactly.
because he's still in the city of Barcelona. He can still stay connected to friends and family and keep a healthy out of the pitch
Yeah,
career, just similar
because
to what Eric Garcia benefited from. And then you
exactly.
have that as a springboard, and you go forward. But I don't
Facts,
think
facts,
any of
facts.
those yeah, I don't think any of those proposals were put to him in a clear form at the end of at the start of the
Yeah,
January transfer
yeah,
window. And for me, it
because
was just more like, hey, we need you to pack your bags and leave so that we can bring in somebody else. And I don't see why that why
yeah,
they
yeah, but again, I feel whatever Barcelona will do, they will always look out for their own interest. And
no,
I always believe it's the players' duty to look after their own personal interest as well. So if it's a situation where
absolutely.
So the situation where Barca are trying to move you off to free up some monies on the wage structure, that's fine. But as long as you go out there and you can get your football career, kickstart your football career again. Because looking at it now, his Barcelona contract expires in 2027, and we all know
Yeah,
football moves very quickly. And
yeah,
if he doesn't find a solution to this situation, he might just be one of those players that might just has been at the age of 2024. So
yeah, yeah,
I will regret personally for him because I think the player that showed a lot of promise at a young age. He took a lot
yeah,
of responsibility in that Barcelona ecosystem that was quite troubling at the time when they were going through the
yeah,
financial situation. So I just feel I believe they still a player there because I saw a glimpse of him last season in London at Brighton. I saw some good finishes, scored a few goals last season as well.
yeah, yeah.
So some,
Yeah, he may have not had a lot of stats, but he did have quite a
yeah,
decent number of
yeah,
cameos
yeah,
appearances. So, even the same thing with La Liga, with him this season in Barcelona. Maybe not as much as in Brighton, but like I remember his, and also the timing as well. The timing. There was a time when it was supposed to come in, and then there was a red card, and that changed the dynamics of
yeah,
that.
exactly.
All
So
those kind of
so I feel that yeah.
things.
Do you have anything else to touch on before we leave?
Well, I do have one thing. It's quite controversial, but I like to leave the controversial things for the end.
Okay,
It's
okay.
in all of this title race, in all of this La Liga title race conversation. Do you or would you agree with some of the people on our comment section, etc., who believe the referees are actively contributing or a catalyst to the excitement and the controversies with the
Um,
move where the leadership of La Liga is, etc.
I
And
feel
I'm not doing any personal attack. I'm just saying, like right now, as a collective, what do you think of the referee?
feel I feel the overall referee situation with Spanish football and even extended to English football as well, it's probably been in the worst state it's been in a long time. And the issue is not just their performances on the pitch, but also the discussions around refereeing performances. So also to varying degrees. And I just feel at the end of the day, you end up spoiling the product when it stops being about what is being played on the pitch, the football, the goals, the players, and it's now been a game been where it's a game where we're talking about referees, talking about controversies, talking about referees bias, favoritism here and there. It's getting too messy for my liking, and it's something that the La Liga as an institution, or even Spanish football as an institution, they need to put a grip on it sooner rather than later. But this because it has the potential to be to have damaging effects on the course of the season. Because sometimes you can see subjective and objective refereeing decisions which each match day from game to game. And personally, I've never subscribed to the opinion, well, except for Howell Webb and Manchester United allegedly. But I've never subscribed to the opinion that there's this conspiracy to say for another team over another. What I just believe is just generally they are more incompetent than there's this malicious intent to help one team get an advantage. Because you see it weekly where the inconsistencies with the performances, the inconsistencies with the decision making, and when you get to a situation where just about every team is facing the same issue, because as much as you can say, okay, like okay, Madrid have benefited from this specific instance, but at the same time, you can find instances where they've also not gotten decisions in their favor at the same time. And this happens for Real Madrid, Barcelona, and even Atletico Madrid. So whenever we get into this discussion about referees, I always stand on the point that we should call out the overall general refereeing of the games, of the leagues, of the tournaments, rather than the individual referees itself. Because again, like and especially in English football per se, in on every aspect of football, this is just specific for English football. For every aspect of football, we can criticize and talk about. We talk about the owners, different ownership groups, how much they invest in clubs. We talk about the coaches, the players, the staff, even down to sporting directors. We have people on social media leading campaigns to get rid of different sporting directors at different clubs. Whenever it comes to referees, especially in England, it feels like we can't talk about referees. And in Spanish football, it seems when you're talking about referees, that it's turning into this whole dramatized situation where it's tit for tat now. Where okay, you've done this last week, we are going to punish you and catch you next week. Talking about the Jude Bellingham situation, and it just gets into, in my opinion, getting too messy now. It's getting to a point where something has to be done. Somebody has to go in there and show leadership, still authority. And this is not just one club. This is not just against one club, against the overall board. We've seen Barcelona, Real Madrid. Real Madrid have this infamous session where they do that on their channel on Real Madrid TV every week, where
Mhm.
they basically they have like a highlight section of referees' performance, and when the refs they have them they show mistakes that a referee has made in the past. So they say like leading up to games, they show the referee that's going to ref the next fixture. They show his mistakes on Real Madrid TV, or they highlight his mistakes. They talk about his performances. And it's getting very messy right now. So yeah, it's tough. But again, I believe you have a strong opinion about this. So I'll let you go right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a big caveat before I go on and say anything. Right? Again,
Okay.
none of these are factual. They're
Okay.
all allegedly, and also some of them could be spanning off personal opinions. Please, for our viewers and for those who are very excited to write things on the comment section, this is exclusively coming off personal observation without any research, no facts. It's just putting it out there open for discussions. Now, I feel like the pendulum has consistently been switching in the inconsistency and the lack of accuracy of refereeing decisions in La Liga, especially. Right, I can recall at the start of the season, up to a very certain point in December, there were consistent bad refereeing decisions that went against Barcelona. Right, I could top of the heart moment
Okay.
remember.
Okay. Okay.
Oof.
I'll just try this question now. I'll let you go. But when you say against, but at the same time, I'm sure there's been the referee decisions that favored Barcelona at the same time as well.
Yeah, so it's football, right? At the end
Okay,
of the day,
exactly. Okay, exactly.
it's
Continue.
football. At the end of the day, it's football. There's certain decisions you look at it and you be like, okay, yeah, we got away with one. But then when you start to have a conspiracy theory, right, is you're looking at patterns, you're looking at the frequency of the patterns, you're looking at the gravity of that pattern, and then it all starts to make sense. For example, I don't think there'll be so much buzz if Jude got a send off for whatever that happened yesterday, correctly or not, in a game where Madrid's already 5-0 up. It's not going to have the same,
No,
you
it's
know,
true. No, it's true. No, it's
no,
just
it definitely would not have the same balls, in my opinion,
no, because if
as
it's
it's having right now, because
uh,
that red card contributed to whatever the outcome is to that game. Also, again, for maybe of a lesser should I say even for lesser activity, I recall seeing a game of Hansi Flick, a game where Hansi Flick was handed a red card for waving his hand. I saw that myself, right? And again, I'm still saying it boils down to the moment. It boils down to the gravity of that decision because in that from that game, from that red card, I think Hansi Flick probably that was part of the reasons why Hansi Flick didn't sit in the dugout against Atletico Madrid, right? There's consequences, right? And there are those kind of actions. I also remember a game where Barcelona marginally lost or probably drew, and there was a disallowed goal for Lewandowski, and it was just an extension, again, allegedly, without any facts, but I saw an extension in the graphics of Lewandowski's foot to just put less than an inch to that foot to make it an offside call. And people said the initial footage on the VAR screen, the
mhm.
positioning of both players, it couldn't have been possible that that foot would have belonged to Lewandowski, right?
Okay.
That
So
was
again,
a conversation. But
yes,
the point where I'm coming from is this: in the Premier League or in other European leagues, we've seen pure bad refereeing decisions, right?
yeah,
And we're treating that as an issue. But then if you take it into La Liga, We are not just seeing bad decisions, we're seeing manipulative conversations come out of it. That is where I'm that is where I'm kind of going at. We've seen manipulative because again,
Al-
let's
alleged,
embrace my
alleged manipulation. Alleged.
exactly. So we've seen the again, I put a big huge caveat there. Do not quote me. These are not facts. These are just all
This,
opinions.
okay, 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 okay.
Yeah, these are just all opinions.
The views,
And
the views, just I know the views of Kingsley are for Kingsley alone, so they do not represent
absolutely.
football exponential.
Absolutely. So, and again, when you look at that and then you put things into perspective, it was a royal rumble between the refereeing association and Real Madrid, right? Before the Real Madrid Atletico derby game.
Yeah,
And then
that's
coincidentally,
that was messy.
coinc-
That was very
yeah,
messy.
very, very messy, very unprofessional. And then coincidentally, for the first time after 22 rounds of La Liga football, Real Madrid got the first penalty against them, coincidentally,
Which was very
and which is again very debatable.
well, I'll say very dubious at least. But
Yeah,
and again and
which
yes
is
and
very debatable. And then after that game, right,
yeah,
they got another red card for an event that has not happened the first time.
yeah.
Do you understand that
So so,
again?
so
Like again, I'm not saying that all of these things are correct in any way. I'm saying that they bring in my opinion, the wrong attention to the refereeing association of La Liga and the refereeing decisions that come out of it. And there is substance for these allegations to even start off with. However, my conversation is around the pendulum at which it switches or the swings of those pendulum in critical moments in the season defining games. For
okay.
example, the one with Atletico Real Madrid, for example, the one where Barcelona could have won a game and ended up not winning it for such decisions, and even right on and on. And it could be that they're trying to protect players more. It could be like for example, all three clubs have got a man sent off in their last game in La Liga as we speak. Fermi Lopez was sent off against
Yeah.
Sevilla.
Yeah, okay, 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 okay,
Jude
okay,
was
okay,
sent
okay,
off
okay,
in
okay,
Real
okay,
Madrid,
okay, okay.
and and
I'll
and
stop you
all of
there.
that.
I'll stop you there. But and again, and I think this is where probably the bulk of the issue comes in. Where if you look at it, okay, the last three or the last two game weeks, both teams have had players sent off. But take the Barcelona situation for example. The was it Gap no
Fermi Lopez.
Fermin Lopez.
No, that was a
That's
deserving red card. No
exactly
dispute.
no exactly. So if you it's always because
No,
if you
no dispute.
because if you discuss it like okay in the last two game weeks both three clubs have had red cards, it sounds like that is something very
Fishy.
there's
No,
very fishy
no,
or it suggests or the wording of it suggests there's something happening there. But
no.
if you look at the
All
situation,
all I'm saying is this, right? The refereeing decisions are starting to get more attention and more um,
I agree with that.
limelight, right? Because of the consistency of their inconsistency, for example. Like, I've watched a game where a player didn't get sent off for an offense even um less than what some other players got sent off for. That's what I'm saying, right? Whether or not that decision is impactful to the course of the game, it should be consistent. That's all I'm saying, right? It's not been
Yeah,
consistent, and rightfully so. Fermin Lopez sending off against Sevilla, that's the correct call from the ref because I do not want to encourage dangerous play,
okay.
right? But then again, you don't watch a game against Alaves when players were kicking other players at the new level and they stayed through to the end of the game. That is not being consistent.
That and I feel over just to put a final point on this, I feel overall then
Mhm.
that it leads to the conversation that the standard of the officiating across the board, regardless of your colors, be it white, red and blue, red. red, black, and
white
whatever.
and red.
Exactly. But it's just there needs to be more. There needs to be more authority. There needs to be more leadership, and sometimes there needs to be this understanding of what's been done. Where if there's been like
Yeah, there should be a clarity because
exactly
one thing that has helped the English Premier League is that they used to have a session where previous head of refereeing will come and explain or chime in on certain decision calls that happened in the game, especially
rightly,
the
rightly,
ones.
because look, because well, rightly or wrong or wrongly, those panels always seem to be very.
Yeah, they tend to, I
They
understand
said
what you mean.
yeah,
They're not
they
very transparent and
exactly,
honest, but
but yeah, but they tend to massage the different different points of the of decision making and also the
Mhm.
outcome of it. It's more. So it's more to send a message of we know what we're doing, trying to get it right wrong. But even at the same time, I appreciate the fact that is that avenue where you can say, okay, you know what, this person is in there. Why actually so that we have a figure like Howard Webb is in there, one of the most influential referees of the last two
Mhm.
decades.
Decade or
That he,
more, yeah.
yeah, that so there's somebody in there that is in charge of this. So whenever there's a bad decision that you hope there is someone there that can hold referees accountable. What I don't want to see is when clubs get involved. When I see club social media pages get involved. When I see
No, no
club use that YouTube
channels to,
channels.
to promote those kind of things. Yeah.
It gets it because where does it go from there? Because do you start getting and just to talk on the Jude Bellingham sending off on this weekend, I feel that's no matter what country I hate to see, I just don't think that's a red card. That's all I'll say.
No,
I
like
know,
what I'm saying is this as well. Whether or not that is a red card, if they make a decision that that is going to be a red card, it should be firmly communicated and it should be consistent. That's
yeah,
all I'm saying. Yeah,
okay,
because
okay,
I think those are not professional words, but those are grown up words. People use them every now and then.
yeah, yeah,
Not that we encourage the use of those words, but
yeah,
then again, it's an emotion sport. It's a sport that
yeah.
has emotion.
It's
That at the end of the day, it's blood running through the veins of all those people who are
there's a
running
lot
back and forth on the
of,
pitch. So you might disagree with somebody and you're showing some dissent, but even from the footage, right? He didn't feel very aggressive about it. He didn't feel very, But then again,
yeah.
it just I feel like there might be some historics that have been
But it's,
factored into that decision, but
it
which in
seems
itself
no,
shouldn't be the case.
but it seems there's been it seems they're trying to stamp out on something where they're trying to show that I'm taking actions on certain situations where because correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Jude Bellingham gets sent off in that manner a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't. It probably
So
wouldn't. And then also, what happened to a warning first?
exactly
Apparently, that's the first time in the game. What happens to a warning, a yellow card? And then they're
because
talking to a yellow card, they're talking to, and then if he consistently continues to say that, then it becomes a
because
situation. So there
because
was nothing like that. It's just a straight out of the pitch. I don't think that
and
that. I
and
feel like that's the extreme part of it.
and it's and I always feel like because I watch a lot of European football and I feel on average the best this but again I could be wrong. I feel the best league where I feel they get refereeing decisions and their utilization of video assistant referee VAR as well is very smooth is the Bundesliga.
I agree with you.
I feel they from on average they get a lot of things right across the board. They have a lot they implement the technology very well. They use it to assist the decision making, and even in the Champions League as well. Because if you think about the Champions League, you don't really see a lot of because I feel as a watcher, I suppose regardless of the game, I don't I would like to see a ref make an effort to keep 11 v 11 on the pitch, unless there's instances where there's been lack of control, there's an over
Yeah,
aggression, there's you keep 11 players on the pitch because we're here to watch football, we're not and it's
yeah.
supposed to spectacle. And when you then take it off the pitch, it now sounds very political what's happening in Spain. But you know what, we'll keep it I'm sure there's gonna be massive fallout from that situation going forward. And there's still another game to be played this weekend, so we don't know what's installed there. It could be three for three in terms of records to the three big clubs this weekend. So I don't know if anybody's a punter out there, so you can that's one you can keep your eye on. But again, I think that'll be for this football exponential special edition with our Spanish correspondent.
With the
So
European correspondent today, we just tried to cover the Spanish.
okay, exactly. Yeah. Well, again, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us on this special edition. So good luck, good luck, good luck on Monday, and I hope you join us soon after that.
Absolutely. It's indeed a pleasure to connect again. And do not forget to smash the like button, put in your comments. Let's know what you think about the whole conversation so far. Your opinions are always valid to us, and please feel free to put your review as well. Let us know if there are things that you would like to see better in this channel and all of that. But again, it's been an amazing time connecting again and reviewing all of the eventful things that have happened in La Liga. And thanks again, Frank, for being an amazing host as always. But until next time, guys,
Thank you.
enjoy.
Peace. Bye.
Take care.